Moreno on the track now, one-time Olympic and world kilo champion, who's been riding on the road against Arrue, who's been very, very quick indeed. The Chilean rider has surprised with some of his performances so far.
Right, this should be interesting as well, because actually Arrue from Chile actually lives up in the States, lives up in Trexeltown, and he's as you can see, the guy who's holding him up is actually an American, Roger Young, his coach. See the way he's concentrating there, just getting all his thoughts together. Now he's got a good chance here because the Spanish rider, the kilometer rider, tactically he's not that good. He's more for power. So obviously the Spanish rider's going to try to ride it from the front.
So Moreno, one of the Calmi pros who started the season riding on the road despite his chunky legs. He's done a bit of road riding with the Calmi team. I think they were looking for him as a bit of lead-out man in the sprints for people like Ados of the Calmi team. Now being back standardising and specialising in the track to see how far he can get. This Chilean fellow is quite a tall one. If you have a look at his creamer bike, he's got one of the extended versions, which they've been doing from time to time, because both of them have a shorter top tube length than that one, but he looks quite a fellow with a very long body and a long reach.
But also he's had, you know, this year's had really good training sessions up in Trexeltown, along with Paul Swift and Martin Neuenstein, and the Australians have been up there. So even though he's in a red jersey from Chile, you know, he's had all the American training that he needs, all the good preparation. He's looking over his shoulder, but remember the Spanish rider, I'm sure he's going to go for a long one.
So different tactics here between these two riders in this. As they now come into this final lap, it does appear that Mani has been awarded that victory, because in fact the Greek rider entered the sprinters line after Mani was inside it. I hope we see a rerun of that one, but that's the information we're getting right now as we're now underway with this sprint. Moreno at the top then. The Chilean rider Arrue has got nowhere to go now except following round, hoping and flick past him, but that shows the sheer speed of this ex-kilometre champion of the world and the Olympic champion rocketing round there. There's no doubt about the judge's decision on that one. It's going to the Spanish rider Moreno, and so we have got, according to the information we've been picking up now, then that the result of that sprint between Mani and Himaritos of Greek went to the French rider because the Greek rider cut down on him. Well, I hope we see the whole that one again, Russell.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the Greek rider there, because I mean I suppose he just slightly came out the red, and that's what it's all about, I suppose, you know. But at least he can go through to the repechage. But that's a real shock there for Mani. At least, you know, he got through by the skin of his teeth, you could say.
Listen to some of your lads back at home then. Just stay inside the red line, whatever you do.
That's right. Jens Fiedler now from Germany.
The reigning Olympic champion.
I'm just looking at his mitts there. Looks like he's got some martial art mitts. They've got big protectors on the fingers there.
Now we're getting to a point where the qualifying time's getting closer indeed here, because of the qualifying riders, those who got inside the world record, Moreno was the last one to beat the world record, 10.008. Jens Fiedler here on the track, 10.036, was just inside the world record, as was Michael Hubner. And then we go into those who just failed to beat it. So we've gotten some very, very quick lads at the bottom of the track here. The German rider Fiedler. In fact, the Germans finished in 6th, 7th and 8th places, just showing their depth of sprinting talent in the qualifying rounds. And it's up against Paul Swift of the USA, who qualified in 10.337.
So Fiedler leads off, followed by Paul Swift of the States. He's just rolling around nice and gently on the inside of the track. There's one of the judges making sure that the front rider goes a little bit quicker than walking pace. Always looking, there's Fiedler looking under his arms, making sure Swift doesn't go for a long one. Remember, it's 3 laps of the track. Most of the action happens on the last lap. But there's always surprises. So Jens Fiedler right at the top of the track, looks over his left shoulder. There's Paul Swift out the saddle, trying to keep the gap down. You can't afford to let Jens Fiedler have too much of a gap, otherwise Fiedler, the German, might go for a long one. So they're rolling up and down the track. Fiedler goes down, Swift follows him. Fiedler just picking up the pace just very, very gently. There's Paul Swift with the sunglasses on, with the bright sunlight. I thought for a minute there that Swift was going to go. So still Fiedler on the front, 2 laps to go. Paul Swift just staring. Swift riding just a little bit higher on the track than Jens Fiedler, so it makes it difficult for Jens Fiedler to look over his shoulder at him. Paul Swift's got a little bit closer to him now. So we're coming around to the home straight now, the Bellaby going. I'm sure Paul Swift is going to jump any minute. Or is he just going to ride the wheel of Jens Fiedler and let Fiedler pick it up? So he's crossed the line now. Swift is so close now. Oh, Swift's gone underneath him. Maybe he's going to try to pin Fiedler up against the fence. Yeah, this is the way. This is what I like. Oh, Fiedler's nearly down. And Swift goes down. Fiedler's with him. This is the way. This is what I like. He's looking under his arms. He's looking. Swift's starting to pick it up. But Fiedler's looking nice and comfortable. Oh, he's outside the red line. That's another good move. Come on, Paul Swift. He's starting to pick it up. And what a great win there for Paul Swift. He rode it so well. Tactically, the time might be slow, but tactically he rode it fantastic. And that's good for Jens Fiedler. Look, little wave there. That's great. Good riding. It shows you
sometimes that these sprinters, whilst they are inclined from time to time to be a bit vicious, and we've seen occasions when if looks could kill, then they'd certainly have killed the opponent with their sheer looks. But on that occasion, both those two sprinters realised that the tactics that had gone on had resulted in this man taking the victory against Fiedler, who was really trying all he could to come past, but in the end, that was it. So a nice, as far as the Americans are concerned, they've got so much depth of talent in sprinting at the moment, and going through then into the second of the heats with one under his belt now is the American, who in fact only finished 5th in the match sprint championship.
Now this is the interesting part here. Paul Swift dived underneath him. Now all of a sudden he's going to go up, straight up, and just give Fiedler a little knock. There you go. Fiedler puts his arms out, and what that's done, obviously Fiedler's started to get a bit worried about it. And you can't start to panic, and then after that Swift went, and that was it. That was great. I'm always into the underdogs when they, when they win, because obviously Jens Fiedler, an ex-world champion, and talking about ex-world champions on the line there, big Michael Hubner.
And Paul Swift's team in the USA is called Simply Fit Met RX. I don't know what the Met RX is, but Simply Fit it says. Well, he was simply good on that occasion and outfoxed the reigning Olympic champion and an ex-world sprint champion to boot as well. Well, talk about sprint champions. We've got against this man, Jerabek, a big man mounting himself, Mr. Hubner, who not only has been the Kieran champion of the world, but he's also been an amateur sprint champion of the world, a tremendously strong man. He's got the inside of the track at the moment. He's been a pro sprint champion of the world as well. Hubner, probably one of the most experienced trackmen, and probably the greatest collection of medals than anybody else on the track at the moment, is leading out. In the qualifying rounds, Hubner in 7th spot did a 10.079. Just inside the old record. He was the 7th of the riders to break the old record, and he's rather pleased with that one, because Hubner is not the man who really enjoys the 200-metre qualifying rounds. He enjoys the cut and thrust of the sprints, and technically we're going to see some good stuff when this man progresses through the rounds, unless he does something like his teammate did just then and lose out tactically.
Yeah, you mentioned all his world titles and Olympic titles, but you forgot to mention he's a member of the Beck Cycling Club.
Gosh.
And he keeps threatening to come over in the winter on a Saturday afternoon and to play bicycle polo.
Oh,
yeah, he keeps saying, this is Michael Hubner, said he's going to come over one winter and play bicycle polo on a Saturday afternoon at Herne Hill track.
Well, why don't you try and get him down when he goes to to Manchester. He's racing up there shortly.
That's right. Yes, yeah, he's racing in the sprint on the Friday and the Saturday in the Superdrome.
What's that? 13th, 14th of October.
That's correct. Yeah.
Try and get him down to Beck with his bicycle polo then.
But saying that, early in the year, I rode I was riding in the Keirin, and Michael Hubner was there, and I tried to go for a gap, and he actually came down on me. Honestly, it was like a bus coming down on you. It was unbelievable, you know. And usually, I feel pretty confident, you know, knocking people around. But when someone like Michael Hubner comes down on you, you know about it.
And there is Hubner leading out at the moment on the track. He knows what he wants to do, and he sets about doing it off the bike. He's quite a pleasant character, but if it comes to the rough and tumble, don't want to try and lean on him. Hubner leading out now.
So Hubner's on the front, starting to pick it up. The Czech rider's coming at him now. He's got to be careful, Michael Hubner. Look at the power. He's just sitting there, nice and powerful, just on the red line. Now he's going underneath. Now he's turning it on. The Czech rider's really got to pick a big effort to get over here, Michael Hubner. But nice and comfortable. There's Michael Hubner, look. Looks under his arm. Lovely win. 10.465.
Yeah, that just shows that he's quite happy going a bit quicker. Some of the other rounds we've seen have not been quite that fast, but he's really quite happy now when he's man against man. So Hubner going through to ride off again against Jerabek in the next round.